Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're looking back at a profoundly pivotal and, honestly, a deeply tragic moment in the Indian freedom struggle. We're going to document the events of April 1919. It's a time that literally altered the entire course of modern history. Let's just dive right in.
So how did a peaceful harvest festival become one of the darkest days in Indian history? Think about it. It's a staggering contrast, right? You have a community celebrating life and renewal suddenly met with an absolutely devastating military response. By the end of this explainer, you'll understand the exact sequence of events that led to this massive, tragic turning point.
Moving into Section 1, the Jallianwala Bagh Gathering.
Picture this. It's April 13th, 1919, in the city of Amritsar. A really massive crowd has converged on this enclosed piece of land known as Jallianwala Bagh. Now, this crowd wasn't just there for one reason. First off, you had rural villagers, families, kids, people who had traveled into the city simply to celebrate Baisakhi. That's the joyous harvest festival and local New Year. But right alongside them were citizens peacefully protesting the recent unjust arrest of some prominent local leaders. So it was this really unique mix of festive celebration and peaceful political demonstration all in one place.
Which brings us to Section 2, the Rowlatt Act context.
You see, these peaceful protests at Jallianwala Bagh didn't just happen out of nowhere. They were a direct response to something called the Rowlatt Act. Now, the Indian people often referred to this as the Black Act, and for good reason. This draconian British law fundamentally stripped away basic human rights. It literally allowed colonial authorities to arrest and jail individuals without any trial whatsoever. No due process, no legal defense, nothing. And it was under this very act that two highly respected leaders, Dr. Saifuddin Kichlu and Dr. Sai Paul, were suddenly imprisoned. That's exactly what sparked the peaceful outrage we saw in that crowd.
Section 3, General Dyer's attack.
Okay, so while the crowd was swelling, there was this fatal disconnect in communication happening. Earlier that very same morning, Brigadier General Reginald Dyer had put a strict ban on all public gatherings. But here's the thing, this critical information was not widely broadcast at all. The rural villagers who were just arriving to celebrate Baisakhi, they had absolutely no news of this ban. They walked right into Jallianwala Bagh completely unaware that their festive gathering had essentially just been criminalized.
Then, General Dyer, along with his armed troops, arrives at the Jallianwala Bagh compound. Remember, this is an enclosed ground surrounded by high walls. The troops immediately move in and block the only entry and exit point, a single, narrow alleyway. The crowd was completely trapped. And then, without issuing a single warning to disperse, General Dyer ordered his troops to open fire directly into the dense, unarmed crowd of men, women, and children.
Section 4, a tragic turning point.
The firing was sustained, and it was completely unprovoked. It continued relentlessly until the troops had fired exactly 1,650 rounds. They only stopped because they literally ran out of ammunition. In a frantic, panicked attempt to escape that absolute hail of bullets, because remember, the main exit was totally blocked, many people threw themselves into a deep well located right inside the compound. Tragically, countless lives were lost inside that very well in a desperate bid for survival. Today, a solemn memorial stands at that well, preserving the memory of those innocent lives violently taken.
So, we end with a vital question to think about. How did this single, tragic event permanently shift the trajectory of the Indian freedom struggle? Well, the massacre at Jallianwala Bagh completely shattered any remaining illusions of British colonial benevolence. It acted as a massive catalyst. It united the entire populace in absolute outrage, and it dramatically shifted the movement from polite petitions to a hardened, unified demand for complete independence. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning and take care.